From Hiss to Purr, a guide to kitten socialization.
Today's focus is on kittens, not cats. We will be discussing how to work with under-socialized kittens, feral kittens, and kitties that could benefit from some behavior modification. Again, we are focusing on kittens, not cats. Working with scared kittens is very different than working with scared adult cats. While adults need a lot of time to settle in and do best if given plenty of space to become comfortable, kittens need lots of short interactions, a smaller space where they can't easily hide, and offered yummy food, toys, and even paintbrushes. When we get feral kittens at a very young age, we can socialize them. Ideally, we get these kittens under 8 weeks of age, preferably 4 to 5 weeks old. It is still possible to socialize them until they are about 16 weeks old, but it becomes exponentially more difficult the older they get.
Under-socialized kittens may have started out as feral kittens, but have been worked with already by one or more parties. They may have been outdoors and have been fed by someone, or maybe they've had interactions with staff at another shelter before they came to yours. These kittens are easier to work with than feral kittens because they've had interactions with people, and it is best to get them before they are 12 weeks of age.
Now let's talk about the types of kittens we typically see when they come through our socialization program. We either see defenders or we see hiders. Often the defender will be a female, not always. Usually you will notice them because they are hissing, charging, spitting, growling, or doing anything else to seem very scary. Then you will notice the hiders typically hiding behind them. Hiders won't look you in the eye. They will turn away from you. When you go to touch them, they will jump and twitch. They may seem nervous. They may not eat in front of you, and they may not be food motivated. Between these two types of kitties that you see, they can change depending on the makeup of their litter. When to remove the defender from the hiders, typically they are easier to start to work with when they no longer have to defend their litter mates. You may notice that when this happens, that a new defender emerges from the kittens that were once hiders. As we often find, it is sometimes easier to split up large litters of kittens into groups of 1, 2, or 3, depending on the makeup of the group. If you can get them separated where they can have individualized attention from the foster homes, then you'll be able to work on their socialization faster than if you left them in a large litter of kittens. We want to keep training simple, exact, consistent, and most importantly, be patient when working with kittens. Kittens surprisingly learn new behaviors well, and they're very good about communicating with us when they've had a little bit too much. They'll also recover quickly if you accidentally make a mistake during training. And one thing to note with kittens is that repetition is the key. Like with all animals, including us humans, we like a routine. It feels comfortable and it feels safe. One thing to note with kittens, though, is they can get frustrated. If you aren't watching their cues and you push them too far, they can get frustrated and strike out. It's important to learn what the kitten is telling you while you're interacting with them so that you don't get to that level. Kittens don't have feelings like we do, so while you're working with them, you might think things like, I should leave you alone for many, many days, and eventually you'll come out and be my friend. I don't want to hurt your feelings, but that's really not what's going to help a kitten. What you want to be looking at are small, little training sessions that are very consistent each time, and that you're always ending on a positive note. You want to make sure that when you're leaving the room, it's not because the kitten has scared you or because you've done something wrong, but because you've made a breakthrough, or maybe the kitten has relaxed. And so you want to make sure that you're always ending on a positive note.
Some key training concepts for you to keep in mind while you're working with your kittens. Either you're training or untraining your kittens. So what do we mean by that? By going in and having a routine and not skipping sessions, either days or times, you start to build a rapport with your kittens. You don't want to give them time off because then the routine gets broken and they don't know what to expect from you. Again, remember that there are going to be lots of short sessions, 10 minutes at a time. Try to go into your foster room each hour that you're home and spend time with your kittens. Not every time you go in has to be a training session. Maybe you just go in and sit down and read to them so they hear your voice and see you moving around. Other times you might be giving them food or cleaning the litter box, but do try to go in on a consistent basis and always give them time to recover, rest, and relax without you in their presence. That's very important for kittens learning. You want to try to have at least 3 training sessions a day. But again, remember that you can go in more times than that. Try to involve the whole family. It's important for kittens to be exposed to different types of people, different sizes, different voices, and different ways of moving. This helps the kittens understand that we are not there to eat them. We are not the predator. We're going to become their friend. If you're not making progress and you're concerned, always reach out to your foster coordinator for any tips or tricks. Remember, we don't want you to be coddling your kittens and not trying to move forward in the progress. That will only hurt them. We have a very short window of time for kittens to learn to be social cats, and we need to take advantage of each day that we have with them.
Setting up your foster room for socialization kittens is very important. We suggest using an unfurnished room or a bathroom. They're the best. If you do need to use a furnished room, then you'll need to block off all hiding spots so that they don't use them and get away from you. That would be under a bed, under a chair, under or behind a dresser. Either remove those items or make sure that they can't get under or behind them. You want to be able to be on their level and be able to see them while you're interacting with them. So make sure that you do have space to get down on the floor to spend some time with them. You'll notice in this picture we offer a hidey box with a bed in it. It's one where we can still see them and they'll still feel safe. There's also a plush high-sided bed in there for them to use if they prefer that as a hiding spot. Make sure you provide kittens with normal kitten items because they're going to play when you're not around. So you'll want to have toys out for them that they can use to entertain themselves. Of course, you'll want to provide a litter box and fresh food and water. You'll also want to gather other supplies for your socialization kittens, like a paintbrush, wand toys, yummy food, feel-away, and anything else that you might need. When you bring the kittens home, it will be a very scary time for them. They were just in a shelter, went on a car ride, and now they're coming into your home. You should take them into your foster room right away and place the carrier on the floor facing the hidey box you've set up for them. Remove any screws or unclip parts of the carrier so you can eventually take the top off. You want to get all of the scary items out of the way all at once to lessen their fear and stress. Then leave the room and allow them time to settle in and adjust. After giving them 10 minutes or so to do that, go back in to your foster room and see if they've moved out of the carrier and into the hiding box. Carriers aren't a safe place to interact with kittens because it gives them a large space to defend. If you tried to reach your arm in to pet them, they could easily strike and hurt you, and that's not a fun way to start off socialization training. If the kittens are still in the carrier, you'll need to remove the top, which will encourage them to find a different space. Make sure your carrier is facing your hiding box so that it's an easy place for them to pick. You'll want to remove. When you bring the kittens home, it will be a scary time for them. They were just in a shelter, went on a car ride, and now they're coming into your home.
You should take them into your foster room right away and place the carrier on the floor facing the hiding box you've set up for them. Remove any screws or unclip any parts of the carrier so that you can eventually take the top off. You'll want to get all of the scary items taken care of to lessen their fear and stress. Then leave the room and allow them time to settle in and adjust. After giving them 10 minutes or so to do that, go back in your foster room and see if they've moved out of the carrier and into the hiding box. Carriers aren't a safe place to interact with kittens because it gives them a large space to defend. If you try to reach your arm in and pet them, they could easily strike and hurt you, and that is no way to start off socialization training. If the kittens are still in the carrier, you'll need to remove the top, which will encourage them to find a different space. Make sure your carrier is facing your hiding box so it's an easy place for them to pick. Leave the room again for another 10 to 15 minutes so they can choose the hiding box in your absence. If you have a small foster space, remove the carrier and don't reintroduce it to the kittens until they're well socialized. If you have space, you can leave the bottom of the carrier for them, but remove the top completely.
You'll want to make sure that you always have water and dry food available to your kittens at all times. If the kittens are less than 8 weeks old, then you will need to make sure that you're leaving wet food out for them as well. Ideally, you're going to use the wet food as a way to have an active socialization session with them. You'll want to sit or lay at the same level of the kittens to make them feel safe and comfortable and not stand hovering over them or even sitting above them. Make sure you get down on their level and minimize your size. If the kittens won't eat in front of you, and again, they're under 8 weeks of age, you'll need to leave the wet food there for them to eat once you're gone. If they are 8 weeks or older, you can remove the wet food with you, and that will show the kittens that they will only be able to have that yummy wet food in your presence. Every kitten will need a hidey box. You want to make sure that it is big enough for the kitten to stand up and to lay out, but not much bigger. You don't want it to be too tall over their head or they won't feel secure in their space. And you don't want it to be too deep so that as you're reaching in to interact with them, they feel like they need to defend their space. You want to tuck box flaps in, as shown in this picture here, and then put a nice bed in there so that they want to go and lay in their hidey box. You can also use a strawberry bed or other covered bed as long as it isn't too deep and you can still access the kitten. Those are nice to use because you can lift them up from the bottom and place them on your lap, and the kitten can still be enclosed in its hiding space and feel secure while you talk to the kitten and even pet them from the outside of the hiding box.
Use Feel Away spray on a stuffed animal or a blanket and send that home with the socialization kitten. The pheromones in Feel Away mimics natural facial scents, like when they rub on things, and it makes them feel safe and secure and calm. Spray this on the blanket or the stuffed animal and wait 15 minutes before giving it to the kitten. If you're going to use Feel Away at home, we do recommend using the spray over the diffuser. If you do use a spray, make sure that you let it sit on the item for at least 15 minutes before giving it to your socialization kitten.
Reading body language is something that will get easier with time, and the very nuances become easier to detect. Relaxed or curious body language might include things like a cat returning your blink, whiskers forward, both ears up. Maybe they're smelling the air or smelling your finger. They tuck their front paws. They are lying down or sitting in a relaxed posture, grooming, purring, kneading, maybe even soliciting attention, rubbing their head against your hand or object, or even rubbing against the kennel. Undecided or nervous body language can be one ear up, one ear back, licking lips, ears up with a stiff body, hissing, avoiding you by looking away, lying firmly against the back of the cage, scared or fearful body language such as wide-eyed stare, ears down, whiskers back, hissing, growling, biting, holding a front paw up, standing with weight on one front paw, striking, lying down with head low, head and body stiff, tail wrapped tightly around the body. Looking at the two cats in our pictures right now, you'll notice that the tabby in the pink bed is relaxed. His eyes are soft, his belly is up and exposed, his whiskers are forward, his ears are forward. He's happy and well socialized. While the calico has her eyes forward and dilated, she has her arms in a neutral position, but you'll notice that the hair is standing up all over her body. What you may not be able to tell is that her tail is tightly wrapped around her body, protecting her stomach as well. She is not a social kitten and is ready to run. And when you start to notice those types of body language differences, you'll start to see how you can help your kittens progress, and you'll notice when things start to soften with you. Now it's time for your first training session with your socialization kittens. Before you go in, prepare yourself. If you've just come home from work and you're in a hurry, you still have dinner to make, there's laundry to do, other things are happening in your house, don't rush into your kitten room to feed them or to go see them. Take 5 to 10 minutes just to yourself. Take a few deep breaths, calm yourself, let all the worries of the day kind of pass away from you. Think about what your training session will look like, and then go into your room. Don't be in a rush. Make sure that you're moving in a calm manner. You're talking in a soft, sweet voice to your kittens, and you're relaxed. If you get in and you notice that your heart is racing, or maybe that you're nervous, take some deep breaths with your kitten. Just inhale and exhale softly. It will help you, and it will help your kitten to have you centered and relaxed before you start to work with them.
Some easy ways to start socialization training with your kittens is with mama mews and slow blinks. Mom cats meow to their kittens to call them, and kittens meow to their moms. You will see this in practice on the next slide.
Another way is slow blinks. Slowly closing your eyes is the ultimate sign of trust. You're saying, I'm closing my eyes because I trust you not to come and eat me. And when your kitten does that in return, it's saying, I'm closing my eyes and hoping you're not going to eat me. Start by slowly blinking at your scared kitten to help them gain trust. Jackson Galaxy does the blink I love you. And as he does that, he closes his eyes during love. He says, I, close your eyes, love, slowly open your eye, you. Make sure that your energy is low and is not excitable, and that you're not blinking fast at your kittens. If you need to, take a deep breath and relax yourself again, and just slowly blink at your kitten. Nice, slow, deliberate blinks, telling them that they're a good kitten. Maybe tell them about your day, or what you plan to do for dinner, or maybe what's coming up in the next week. They don't care, and They might give you some good advice. You just don't know.
Paintbrushing is another way to interact with your kitten. It's a great tool because it keeps your hands away from teeth and claws in case your kitten feels the need to defend its space. We recommend a soft bristle acrylic paintbrush with a rounded end that is at least 10 inches long. First, you will want to paint yourself. Take the paintbrush and wipe it across your forehead, behind your ears, and under your chin, putting your scent on the paintbrush. Then offer the paintbrush to your kitten. Keep it low to the ground and slowly move the paintbrush towards your kitten's face. Typically, kittens will reach forward and smell and investigate the paintbrush. Sometimes they may strike at the paintbrush, and that's okay. Try not to flinch as best as you can. If you flinch and are now scared, take a deep breath, grab the paintbrush, and offer it slowly to the kitten again. You're not trying to shove it in their face or scare them. You're desensitizing them to one of your tools. If they reach out and smell the paintbrush or don't react, you can go ahead and start to paint around their face. You'll start with under the chin and then work towards the sides of their face. If that goes well, you can move towards the back and tail area. If the kitten does not want the paintbrush near their face, move to the kitten's back. Make sure you are building on a solid foundation before you move to another location on their body. If you get a negative reaction to a new location, go back to a spot that was enjoyable before you quit. You don't want to paintbrush paws or the belly since those are very sensitive, and you'll only want to do that once you've built up trust with your kitten. If you are able to paintbrush your kitten well, and they seem to enjoy it, it's time to start working your hand down the paintbrush so you can start touching your kitten. As you are paintbrushing your kitten, let your fingers start to do the same motion as the paintbrush. Soon they won't even realize that you're petting them, and this is how you will slowly transition to petting your kitten. You'll be able to offer the paintbrush, have them sniff it and smell it, you'll paint them a few times, and then just start petting them with your hand. Don't be surprised if they turn around and look at the paintbrush like the Siamese in the picture and think, oh my gosh, what is that? Try not to flinch and keep petting. You've built enough trust with them at this point that they are only checking out why it feels different. Make sure that you still end on a win. If you can't get them to accept the paintbrush again, then you'll want to go back to slow blinks or mama mews so you can get them to relax before you leave. You don't want to leave when the kitten is at its most scared or when the kitten has done something that has scared you. If you do, then you're training your kitten that it's okay to do things to make you scared and then you will leave. And now the kitten is training you instead of you training your kitten.
So when you're working with a socialization kitten and you're going to paintbrush them, you'll want to start by paintbrushing yourself first. So get your paintbrush and start paintbrushing. You're doing this so that you can get your scent on the paintbrush and have an easy way to get that smell to them in a safe manner. You'll notice I'm going behind my ears and down my neck. I'm trying to get as much of my scent on this paintbrush as I possibly can. So when I introduce it to my kitten, they'll know what I smell like before we even start touching. Okay, I've paintbrushed myself, and now I'm going to let Fanta smell the paintbrush and see if he's interested in it. He's not quite sure what to think about it, and that's okay. But we're going to start back here and just start petting our kitten. You notice that his breathing increased, and that's okay. This is a new thing for him. He doesn't know exactly what we're doing. He doesn't necessarily trust us yet, and that's okay. We're just working our way around. You'll notice that his tail is curled up against his body. He wants to protect himself. He doesn't want to be too exposed. We just paint with him. We stop and let him sniff it. Now we're not going to go up and over his head because that'll be scary for him. But for now, we just continue to paint and do this with him until he relaxes. Once he relaxes, we can do another session where we can go up higher on his head. And as you progress, you can scoot your hand down the paintbrush like this and then start to pet him. And as long as he's accepting of it, you can keep going. You can drop your paintbrush and then keep petting your kitten. Good boy, Fanta. High value food is another way to win over a kitten's heart. Some kittens don't like the paintbrush. If they don't like the paintbrush, try high value food. Wet food sometimes works well. Baby food in chicken or turkey flavor with no onion or garlic works well. And Inaba Churu is almost always 100% go for kittens. You can use different methods to get the food to the kittens. You can use a dowel and attach a spoon on the end. This works like the paintbrush. It gives you space so that if the kitten does decide to strike the spoon, that they're hitting the spoon or the dowel and they're not hitting your hand or your arm. This protection keeps you safe, and if they hit the spoon and baby food goes flying everywhere, hopefully you don't get as much on you. If that happens, it's okay. Don't worry about cleaning it up. They will do that for you once you leave the room. But again, don't leave if they've smacked that food out of your hand. Go back to something that has worked before, slow blinks, or just watching their body posture relax, and then you can leave. Remember, you don't want to leave when the kitten has done something to scare you, because that is what they will continue to do to make you leave. Once the dowel and spoon trick is working, you can just go to a regular spoon. You can also use your fingers. Surprisingly, kittens don't want to bite your fingers, but they do want to lick food off of it. The Inaba Churu comes in that tube, and those also work very well to keep you and kittens' teeth not so close together. High value food can work very well with defenders. Hiders don't always like high value food, so you might need to find something else that will work with them. Okay, we're going to try to give Fanta a treat and see if he will accept that from us. So you just slide it in near him so he can smell it. If he hits it, it's okay, because then he can always eat the food from wherever it's landed, but we're hoping that he will want to try to take this treat, and that will show some trust. If he decides not to take the treat, it's okay. You can just leave it for him, or you can take it out and try again later. Maybe next time. Playing with kittens is also another great way to interact with them. Some cats will play when they won't accept food from you and they don't want a paintbrush to touch them. You want to have a nice wand toy available, or you could use shoelaces or anything else that's like that. You want to make sure that the item that you're using is not going to scare your kitten. So make sure you remove any bells or anything that makes a lot of noise. You'll want something that is easy to move around the room, and sometimes you may wish to have a very long handle on your wand toy to get your kittens moving. So how to play with your kittens is very important. We encourage you to have your legs outstretched as shown in the picture below, and then just start to play with the kitten with the wand toy. Defenders will typically want to come out and attack this toy and eat it and take it back with them. Hiders may barely move. You're looking for any kind of interaction. It might be that their paw moved out a couple of times to try to grab it as it went by. Other times it might be that they've ran out of the box and tried to attack the toy. Each kitten will be different, and you'll need to figure out where the win is each time. Once you've got your kitten out of the hiding box and it's playing with the toy, you'll want to move the toy across your legs. The kittens will run across it, not really realizing that they're touching you, just in hopes of catching their prey. As you're playing with them and running the toy back and forth across, have the toy stop on your lap. They may notice it's you and run away back to their hidey box again. That's okay. Bring the toy back out closer to them and continue to play with them. And once they're relaxed and playing, you can end the play session on a win. Remember, you're always wanting to win the play session on a win, no matter what you're doing. So if they go back and they're scared because they noticed you were close by, just get them to engage with you in some form of play or slow blinks or something else before you leave the room. These sessions, again, are only supposed to be about 10 minutes long. So you're playing with them for as long as they're enjoying it, but you're also leaving them wanting more. You don't want to get them so tired out that they're no longer interested in you or even interacting with you anymore. Make sure that you take these toys with you and do not leave them in the room. The kitten needs to learn that if they want to play with that exciting toy, they're going to have to play with it with you. It's also important to remember that kittens do need to play even when you're not there. So do make sure that your foster room is set up with regular toys that kittens would enjoy so that your socialization kittens can play when you're not around. As the kittens become increasingly comfortable with you, increase your petting and handling of them. As you're able to pet them more and more, pet their more sensitive areas as well, such as their sides, the base of their tail, and potentially under their belly. As this becomes more acceptable to them, start preparing them for a pickup. We're going to talk about that in another few slides. You want to continue to talk to them in a soft voice throughout this process. And you're going to want to make sure that you're looking at their body language for any cues that they're giving you. Kittens do enjoy petting, even when they try to tell you that they don't. They do enjoy it, and it will come about. Under the chin is always a favorite place to start, and they'll stretch their heads forward and enjoy the attention. Rubbing up their nose and over their eyebrows can be very relaxing to them, especially if you do a little circle at the top of the eyebrow area as you're moving around the eyebrows. Those pressure points are very relaxing to kittens. They also enjoy a nice little massage up the outside of the ears. Don't stick your thumb inside. That doesn't feel good to them, and it might make their ears itch or their head twitch. But just slowly rubbing the outside of the ears just to give them a little pressure can be very relaxing to them. When you're trying to pet a kitten, one thing that you can work on is moving the tail away from the body. You're looking for small wins in this process and not trying to have a kitten do some miraculous thing with you. You're just looking as you're petting the kitten that you're going to move the tail away from the body. Naturally, they will whip it back close to their body to protect themselves. You're just looking for a time when they don't whip it all the way back or they leave it slightly out. That's your win, and that's when you know, I should stop for right now and not keep doing this to them. They've done something that has showed me trust, and I need to respect that and then leave them be. Like we talked about with most things, you want to continue to use a soft voice. You don't want to be quiet and never talk to them in their sessions, or they won't understand what voices are and what people sound like. And you want to make sure that you're watching for that relaxation throughout your process. Look for those subtle cues with their body. What are they telling you? Are they relaxing in front of you? Are they getting more tense? Make sure that you're leaving on a win and that they're in a relaxed state when you go. After you've been able to pet your kittens well and interact with them and touch them, you're going to need to start working on the lifting and holding aspect. You'll want to start doing this while they're eating. It's the easiest way to start. Offer them some wet food, let them start eating, and then slowly lift the back of their legs just 1 inch and then put them down. They may stop eating and look at you. You might even get a hiss or a swat, or they might even run away. Just wait for them to return back in eating before you leave. You want to make sure that you're leaving on a win. You'll want to continue to do this as much as your kitten will tolerate it. Just a little bit of lifting and then setting down. Once that goes well, you'll want to do a little scoot to one side and then to the other. You're just picking up again the back legs supported well and just scooting them about 1 inch to the left. They'll straighten themselves out and then you'll pick up and scoot just about 1 inch to the right. Once your kittens are tolerating that well, you can do a whole body pickup. You'll put your hands under their chest and under their abdomen and just lift up about 1 inch and put them right back down again and let them eat. You'll want to continue to do these things as they're tolerating it. You don't want to force it, and you don't want to think that you can have it all done in one eating session. This is going to be something that you're going to do over time and over multiple eating sessions. Once they're doing well with that, then you can do things like have them eating next to you and then move their wet food into your lap. If they follow, great. If they don't, pick them up and scoot them onto your lap and see if they will eat in your lap with you. If they don't, it's okay. Just go back to something that did work with them and work towards that. Once you're doing that well, then you can try to do it without food and see if you can lift them into your lap on the floor. Once you've mastered the lift to lap on the floor, then you can start to work on the lift to lap on a chair, or as in this demonstration, on the corner of a bathtub. You'll want to just lift a little bit at a time. You were doing 1 inch before, now do 3 inches, then 5 inches, and then slowly scoop them into your lap. They'll want to feel secure, so leave your arms nestled around them like a high-sided bed once you move them into your lap. Don't leave them open and exposed because that will scare them. Once you've mastered those types of things, then you'll want to start to work on the hold while standing. If you're using a bathroom, it's very easy to get your kittens up to the counter where the sink is and start to do your pickups from there. It's less scary for the kittens, and if they do decide to squirm and get down from you, they're not going all the way to the floor, they're just going to the countertop. After you've worked on doing all of those things, you'll need to work on picking up, holding, and carrying them. We've been telling you that we want your sessions to only be about 10 minutes long. But some of you will want to spend more time with your kittens, and we understand that. It will actually help them get used to you. So some things that you can do during an observation or rest session is read a book, watch a movie, or listen to music. Your kitten will get used to your presence the more that you are in there with them. So it's perfectly fine to go in and spend time in there doing something that you enjoy where you're actually not focused on the kitten. If you decide to take in a book to read or maybe something to listen to in earbuds, you'll want to actually ignore your kitten. If you're not staring at them, they won't feel like you're trying to eat them, and they may just come and investigate you on their own. They might sniff your shoes or even bat at your pants or just come see who you are. You can also use food as a motivator. So you can bring in the wet food and stick it at your feet and then just completely ignore them. Read your book, play a game, watch a movie. When they eat by your feet, that's a win. You can just be happy with that and know that things are going well. And then once they're done, you can be on your way. Maybe the next time you come in, you'll move the food up to your knee area and continue just to read your book or do something different. And then at the final stage, you can move it up to your hip and have them eat right next to you. You can lower a hand and see if they'll stay near you. You can talk to them sweetly, and then you can start to make eye contact. This is a nice way to interact with your kitten without actually putting them through a play session. You can see them without really staring at them. So if you have time in your day, or if you want other family members to help, this is a great way to have everyone involved. Imagine yourself as a scared kitten. Would you want to be picked up with a towel and wrapped up tight so you couldn't move your arms at all? Or would you rather be in a taco of trust? A lot of people, when they started to socialize kittens, said the burrito of love was the way to go. You swaddle a kitten in a small blanket or towel so that they can't move. They struggle and fight and cry and scream, and you hold them until they finally give in and relax. We actually don't think that that is the right way to do it with kittens. It's the same as leading a horse into water and putting a rider on top and having the horse thrash about until it's so incredibly tired that it will walk out and not buck off the rider. Again, these are not training tools that people use anymore. So we're going to talk about the taco of trust. The taco of trust is used differently. You're using a soft-sided bed that they are already used to because it should be in your foster room. If you need to work with your kitten because maybe it's sick and it needs medication, or maybe you need to do a vaccine, or maybe you're just trying to move them to your lap, they're already in a bed that they know that is soft and comfortable. You'll just pick up the two sides and then move the kitten to where you need it to be. This is a low-stress way that allows you to handle them safely for socialization or medications or vaccines or anything else, where they still have the ability to move away if they need to. Again, we believe the taco of trust is the way to go. Socialization kittens need to experience novel changes. The more novelty, the better, although not all at once, please. Just like socialized kittens need to be exposed to various noises, smells, etc., so do under-socialized kittens. Talk radio or classical music while you aren't there is a good way to go. Just be sure it isn't too loud and not on all the time. Kittens still need time to rest and relax. It's important to have different types of people visit, different genders, ages, heights, all types of sizes and voices. They will be better prepared for different experiences in their new home when they can see and hear different things. Don't be afraid to run your vacuum cleaner outside of their foster room, but maybe don't do it on day one. These kittens need to know what it's like to be in a home, because once they're adopted, we want them to be able to be socialized well enough to stay and be happy there.
You'll want to monitor your progress with your kitten. Have a way to journal or write information down. You'll want to make sure you put your kitten's initial stress level and any concerns, goals, or triggers on there. Each time you go in, you'll want to date and time when you go in, what behavior you are seeing, the method that you're trying, paintbrush, mama muse, wand toys, tasty food, and who the trainer is. Is it you or another family member? And then any notes that happened. This will help you know when it's working and what is not working, and ensure that everyone is leaving on a win. It should be passed off to their new adoptive family, so in case they start to regress in the adoptive home, they can look at this report and see what worked before, and they can start to use those same methods again to build their kitten's confidence. The adopter should also get something like your recently socialized kitten handout, which will explain to them the socialization program and help them understand how they can continue to work with their kitten in their home. Here's a recap of what we have learned so far today. Talk to the cat in a soothing voice. Start with slow blinks and mama muse. Then try painting your kitten. Work your hand down slowly until you're petting the kitten.
Food is the biggest tool in the beginning for a lot of kittens, so use it to your advantage. Other kittens prefer play therapy. And don't forget about picking them up and getting them used to lap time. And remember, they need to be exposed to new things so they aren't used to only you in your foster room. With each step, give the kitten time to process what's happening and make good decisions. Don't keep pushing them and get greedy. If they relax or allow something new, end the session as the reward. Give them time alone to think about what just happened and recover. Again, always end on a win, even if you have to take a step backwards to something easier. It's important to know when your kittens are ready for their next adventure, their own home. Here are the milestones they need to reach. They eat in front of you, they play in the middle of the room, they enjoy being pet, you can pick them up and carry them, and they accept new visitors. If you are not having families come to your home to meet your kittens, you might not know if they'll accept new visitors unless you have friends and family come over, but do the best that you can. You'll also want to introduce the cardboard carrier and practice getting loaded up for adoption day. You can do this by putting together the carrier and placing it in the room on its side, and you can put their food in there or a bed or toys so they'll want to go in and explore. Soon enough, they'll be laying in there and enjoying it, and on adoption day, it won't be a problem. You'll have your kittens for approximately 2 weeks. After that time, if they're not ready for adoption, we will transfer them to a new foster home. This helps the kittens progress and get used to new people and new environments. This is not a failure on your part at all. It's just part of the process. You will help the kittens along their journey, whether you're the first foster home that they go to, or the second foster home, or potentially the third foster home. Each step along the way, the kittens will learn new people, new places, and have new expectations. Remember, it's not a failure, it's just part of the process. Sticking to a routine is very important. No skipping days or sessions. Each session should be about 10 minutes, and you should try for 4 to 6 a day if possible. Try to go into the foster room each hour if you can, even if you are just in there as a person not training them. Remember to always end on a positive note and involve the whole family. Oftentimes, children will make more progress than adults. Train your kids and let them try. We are looking for gentle persuasions that are safe and don't frighten the kittens. Baby steps along the way. If you're not making progress and you are concerned, contact the foster coordinator right away. Here's an example of a kitten that we had go through socialization training. You can see Pooh Bear in her before picture where she is very stressed and unhappy. Anytime someone would go into her kennel, she would strike and hiss and react out of fear. She was not happy where she was. We sent her to foster care and started working on techniques with her. 12 days later, her foster parent brought her back to the shelter, and we had someone new who she had never met before pick her up and hold her outside of her kennel, and you can see the response. She's mostly relaxed and enjoying herself. In 12 days, you can turn a ferocious kitten into a sweet kitten ready for their new home. Here's another kitten who went through socialization training. At the shelter, she was hiding behind the defender, and so they were separated. They went to 2 different foster homes. Because Anise was scared and withdrawn, it took her a little bit longer to come out of her shell. She went through 2 different foster homes and made a ton of progress along the way. As you can see, when she was done and ready for adoption, she was rolling over and showing her belly, the ultimate sign of trust. Remember, kittens move every 2 weeks, but that doesn't mean that you didn't do a good job as fostering. It's just part of the process. Oftentimes, hiders will take longer than defenders. So don't be discouraged if it takes your kittens a little bit longer or they're moved to another foster home. It's just part of the process.
Thank you for attending the socialization training today. I hope you found lots of tips and tricks that will help you tame those wild little kittens into sweet new companions.